Hello.
Hello, everyone. Our apologies. I was stuck on a call with a client, so thank you for bearing with us. I got a little confused as to what the time was. So any event, Joe's gonna take over and give you some info on this PPP stuff.
So while this loads, today what we really want to talk about is just what the net result is going to be on your tax return for the PPPs and a little bit of tax planning strategies to consider while you're going through all of this. So let's share our screen. We can go through. So today what we're going to talk about is we are going to go, we're going to look at the net impact one more time just to make sure that we're all on the same understanding of this. Whether loan forgiveness is income, are there any changes on the horizon, whether you should apply for forgiveness or wait, and whether you should go for an extension or not. So as many of you all know, the PPP loan was written as a non-taxable forgiveness item. So when this loan is forgiven, it's not going to become across as income. The issue is that the IRS is ruling that it is going to reduce your expenses, which is basically the same result as having it be included in income. So whether you want to call it income, whether you want to call it a reduction in expenses, the net result is the same, where your taxable income at the end of the day is going to be higher than it was before. So we did just a quick little scenario. Whereas let's say you had revenue of $20 and you had expenses of 10. Without the PPP loan, your taxable income is going to be $10. Now let's say you got a PPP loan of $5. Your taxable income has gone up to 15, not because your revenue went up, but because your expenses have gone down by 5. So just to summarize this again, yes, it was written as the forgiveness being non-taxable, but you're not going to be able to deduct the expenses since you're not paying taxes on the earnings. IRS released notice 2020-32 on this. They're citing the tax benefit rule, basically, in a couple court cases. So your income is going to remain the same, or your revenue, but your taxable income is going to be on the rise. So Senator Grassley is one of the leading senators that's pushing for the change to make sure that all of these expenses are deductible. So as he says, the intent was to maximize small businesses' ability to maintain liquidity, retain their employees, and recover from this health crisis as quickly as possible. This notice is in contrary to that intent. So he's talking about how the IRS and the Treasury have said this is non-deductible. Congress does have the final say on what happens with the deductibility. There's a few bills on the horizon that may change this, but there's been almost no activity. The AICPA and a bunch of other groups are really pushing Congress, senators, House of Representative members, even some cabinet members, to try and get this discussion settled once and for all. So either Congress drops all of these bills or they acknowledge them and they vote on them. It's kind of like this being in limbo is not working for anybody.
So let me just go back and maybe explain a different way. So out there, a lot of our clients have called us and said, my PPP forgiveness is not taxable. I heard that it's not income, okay? There's a confusion there. There is information out there that says my PPP loan forgiveness is not income. That's correct. The IRS has determined that it is not income. But what they've determined is that it is a reduction of your expenses. So therefore, it does become taxable to you. And a lot of our business owners are like, well, they gave me all this money, I used it, and now you're telling me I owe taxes on it. Where would you like me to get that money from? this is a real issue that a lot of our business owners are grappling with right now. Because depending on your tax rate, you know, you could be paying 30% of that forgiveness loan back. So hopefully that clarifies a little bit.
So now the question becomes, should you apply for forgiveness now or should you wait? So what you're really asking is, does this money belong in my profit and loss or on my balance sheet? So if you've already applied, if you apply now, there's a chance that you'll hear back from the SBA before the end of the month. We've had a couple clients where it's been less than 3 weeks where they've given the application to the bank and they've heard back from them. So there's the chance that you'll have the determination before December 31st, which whatever the SBA determines at that time is the final ruling. If you hold off on applying, then you declare this an income if you reasonably think that it's going to be forgiven. That's a big if. So if you think might be forgiven, might not be forgiven, that's when you're going to decide the deductibility. You might have to then amend, change 2021's numbers to include this income, but it's always better to pay the tax a year and a half later than now.
So again, let me just summarize to make sure you understand. So our recommendation sitting here on December 3rd is you hold off and wait to apply for forgiveness. Because if you do receive forgiveness by the end of the year, then you are definitely going to be including this as income on your tax return and paying taxes. And again, sorry, I keep saying it's income. You're going to reduce your expenses on your tax return, but you're still going to be paying taxes on that money. The IRS is really pushing back because they want professionals like myself to encourage everyone, even if they haven't applied for forgiveness, to reasonably expect that you will be forgiven and therefore report it as a reduction of expense and pay your taxes in 2020. I'm going so far as to say, no, I'm not going to ask my clients to do that. I would rather have them wait till 2021 to report this as income. And then we have some more time for Congress to get their act together and also for you all to make up the money to pay the taxes. So that is our recommendation. So if you have not applied for forgiveness as of today, I recommend you wait. If you have, then come the end of December, on December 31st, we will have to make a determination. Do we feel like we have enough information that we reasonably believe we will be forgiven? And I think under those guidelines, the answer to that would be yes. If we fulfilled the requirements of the application, then we are expecting forgiveness. So hopefully that helps.
And then one thing we've heard a lot about is extensions and whether or not that this is going to help you or hurt you or whether it's a good idea. So chance of Congress passing one of these bills lessens every day. They're moving on to other things. It's a lame duck session. They're worried about the budget for next Friday, talk of a new stimulus. Their mind is elsewhere. So if you think the budget, I really recommend not going on extension. It's not going to help you that much. Worst case scenario is that you apply, you find out, we file your taxes middle of February. We include this as a reduction in expenses. A month later, they decide, hey, we are going to, keep it deductible. We can always amend, and it's not going to be an issue. Realistically, we're going to find out before February whether or not these expenses are deductible. At the latest, we should know by March, just because they're going to get their act together sooner or later. So we don't recommend an extension. Anybody have any questions?
This is Bernard. Hi, Melinda and Joe. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
So I've got a question. If we do not go for forgiveness in 2020, it'll show up in our financial statements as a loan in the balance sheet, right, as a liability. And then in the P&L, because we've expended the monies for salaries, the loan equivalent will show up as expenses to the operation, as costs.
Yes.
So we will end the year with a reduced net income, net operating income, right? Because there's no revenue that would offset the expenses that we paid out of the PPP.
Yes. And so you're right. If you don't have forgiveness, that loan sits on your balance sheet.
Yeah.
So now let's say 2021, you received notification that you were forgiven.
Yeah.
Then the loan comes off the balance sheet and goes on your income statement, potentially as worst case scenario, as a reduction of expenses, which will produce taxable income.
Mhm.
Therefore, you will owe the taxes for the 2021 tax
Yes.
year.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
And when as just a corollary, when I send our statements over to you for your review and for your preparation of the return, you will see how we have treated it in our accounting system, and both on the loan side and on the expending side. If there's anything off kilter, you'll notice that, and we can change it at the time, right? Yes,
we will be paying particular attention to this because we understand that it can be confusing, and we do want to be sure. I certainly don't want you paying taxes any earlier than is absolutely necessary.
Exactly, yeah.
So with that said, Bernard, one of the things that we've been recommending our clients is even when you move the PPP forgiveness over to your income statement, keep it in a separate account so that it doesn't muck up your actual operating expenses. And then we can easily identify it.
Yeah. Yeah. This will be next year, and I will label the income account accordingly so that it's easily recognizable.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Just another tidbit you all may be interested to know. They recently, I think it was on Tuesday of this week, there was a couple lawsuits citing the Freedom of Information Act, basically saying that all money released by the PPP in the EIDL loans should be public record. That information is now published. So before, if you received over 150,000, your name and your name, address, and general loan amount. So whether it was 150 to 300, 300 to 600, 600 to $1 million, that information was public knowledge. Now, your name, address, and exact loan amount are public record.
So you all may notice now that you might be getting a lot more phone calls and a lot more emails from companies saying, hey, there's money out there, let me help you go get money. I would highly discourage anyone from considering those offers unless you run it by us first. There's a tremendous amount of fraud going out And you're obviously going to be paying more money than you should on any of those loans. And it's going to get worse the more companies realize that this information is public and they can target you very, very easily. The other thing too, I'm just going to take this opportunity to share with you, and you all can share with your friends, family, neighbors, or whatever. There is a tremendous amount, not only with the PPP, but there's a tremendous amount of phishing and fraud going on right now. That is amazing. So be very, very careful with any text messages you may get, any emails, any phone calls. You know, take the number down, tell them you'll call them back. I got one yesterday from some company in Florida telling me I had a tax lien on my property. So, you know, I wouldn't buy into any of those phone calls, emails, text messages, just delete them. If they want you that bad, then they are legally obligated to respond to you using the US Postal Service.
Good point. Thank you.
Sure. All right, everyone, okay?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you. Stay safe.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.